Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the Ricky Carroll PLB. PLB stands for Performance Longboard. You hear that term a lot, performance longboard or high performance longboard. What does that mean? Because you hear high performance and performance tagged onto a lot of different things and without a lot of explanation. Basically, a performance longboard will have more rocker throughout the board. It'll typically be narrower. It'll have a more foil, more thinned out rail. And it's not going to have as wide of a width in the nose or the tail. With a high performance longboard, you're going to find that board to be better in punchier surf, bigger surf, not as good as a nose rider in really mushy like average surf. It's also a better board if you're buying it for your first surfboard ever, because that added rocker will fit into parts of the wave that you go by accident. So if you drop in straight in on the wave, the flat nose rider will just tend to knife in and catapult you, where this board, you have much better of a chance of saving it and being able to pull off a turn because of the narrower nose and more rocker throughout the board. The curve fits into the curve of the wave better. You're also going to see a lot of people ride this board, type of board, in good surf to even really big surf because the added length of the board gives you more paddle power to get into those bigger waves, to paddle long distances, but the narrow width and then the moderate tails will still work at those higher speeds. Talking specifically about this board, the PLB, it's available in a wide range of lengths. You know, typically from 9.0 up to about 9.6. You do see some people going into the 8s with it as well. And Ricky also makes a board that's a scaled down version of this called the Mini Me. Basically a mini tanker version of this board with all the same attributes in construction and performance, but scaled down. Still has that round nose, still has everything we're going to talk about here, but in shorter lengths. That's called the Mini Me. The PLB, overall looking at this board, Ricky does a lot of construction with epoxy resin. He does some with EPS and some with PU cores. He does the epoxy resin. That makes the board really strong and really light. A lot of things you're going to see on this board. There is more rocker in the board than what you're going to see in a nose riding board. Like, you see a little bit more nose rocker. You can see there's a little subtle concave in the nose up in this area here. And you can nose ride this board if the board's at speed and you're not on a fully mushed out small section of the wave. And then also you can see in the tail that there's a decent amount of tail rocker as well. Going to the fin setup, all of the PLBs, until you get to the bigger ones like 9.4 and above, you're going to see set up with a 4+1. They're set up as a quad fin plus a single fin like standard longboard box. This board, you can ride it as a quad, and those are the fins that it comes with. It comes with a quad fin setup. You could also ride it as a single fin, and you can also ride it as a 2+1 with a longboard fin in the center and then side bites forward. And that basically is the wave type and the preferences of what the surfer wants to have. On a lot of the PLBs, you're also going to see these chined rails. So basically, I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but just about 3/4 of an inch in on the bottom of the board there, it kind of comes in and then goes flat across. So you got the bottom of the board, and then it falls away, and then it hits the edge, and then it comes up on the board. And what that does is it gives you the full width of the board for the stability and for the flotation and for the paddle power. But when you're up and riding and when the board's flat, it's going to allow the water to break off the board sooner, and then it's also going to allow the board to roll into the turns easier. So you're not pressing that full thickness rail. The rail's tapering from the top, but it's also with that edge tapering from the bottom. Still retains the speed of having a crisp edge, but takes some of that volume out of the rail to sink it into the water harder on turns. So that's something that Ricky's doing in a lot of his boards. In this board, in the Mini Me, and then also in a narrower nose version of the Mini Me called the TMM. And it's a really good feel for the board. On the PLB, or in general on performance longboards, another thing that you're going to notice is with that narrower width, they're great for generating speed the same way that you would generate speed on a shortboard. So you can work the vertical distance of the wave to generate more speed than what the wave's pushing you at. There's also another version of this board called the H PLBs. So you'll see some boards on our site that are PLBs, and you'll see boards that look almost exactly the same, but those are called HPLBs. The HPLB has a little bit narrower mid-width and nose, and then it also has a more drawn out pin tail rather than a rounded pin like on the PLB. What those changes do is make the board better for medium to large surf. So if you're looking for a better wave, bigger wave longboard, you should look for the HPLB, and if you're looking for a good all-arounder performance longboard, then you want to look at the PLB. The boards are very similar. It's just minor changes in the board that are going to make it better in the bigger surf versus the all-around use. The board that I used last year on the Puerto Rico strike mission, and then also replaced this year with an updated version of it, that's a PLB, and I'm basically using that for overhead surf to double to triple overhead surf. And the board holds in really good, paddles really good in open water, and gets you into waves really, really early. And still, if you ride that board down, even down to about chest high, it still feels really good. Below that, you'd want to be on some other type of longboard. It'll work all the way down to knee high, but it gets really into the range of that board, chest high and above on the HPLB. PLB, every one of these things we put on the water, people come back, rave reviews. Just a really good turning oriented longboard. You can nose ride it. The reason that people get this board in particular is they want a lot of paddle power, they want a lot of wave count, they want the ability to surf their longboard as a longboard, but they also want the ability to surf their longboard shortboard style. The ability to pump speed out of the wave, to do roundhouses on the wave, to do off the tops on the wave, or in a place that builds up a lot of current. We have a break here called the Cove. When you get a big swell in there, there's so much water moving around the point that you basically can't stay in place on a shortboard. It becomes impossible. You got to do laps. With a board with a longer water line this and more paddle, you have the ability to stay in place, get more waves, and then still have a board that's going to turn and generate speed when you're on the wave. So it's the PLB. It's from Ricky Carroll. Incredible board. Ricky has won numerous shaping contests to the point that they won't even allow him to enter the shaping contest. He's now just a permanent judge for life. And talented guy, great individual, incredible surfer as well. So check it out. It is the Ricky Carroll PLB, available 9.0 up to 9.6, and smaller sizes available custom. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any other questions on this board, check out the written review just below this video at realwatersports.com/surfing, or give us a call at the shop.